Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really cutting right to the chase. We're looking at a source that basically wrote the blueprint for individual success. It's a huge piece of work based on the organized experience of hundreds of America's most accomplished people, all documented before 1937.
That's right. And if you want the shortcut, our mission today is to distill what the author called the shortest dependable philosophy of individual achievement. We're looking for those 13 steps, and maybe more importantly, the secret formula that Andrew Carnegie supposedly built his entire empire on.
And before we get to any steps, we have to get our heads around this central idea, which sounds, well, it sounds almost magical, the idea that thoughts are things.
They are, but with a big condition. They only become material things when they're supercharged. The source is very clear on this.
They have to be mixed with three key elements.
Right. Definiteness of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire. And that last one is the real catalyst.
A burning desire, not just a wish.
Exactly. The emphasis on burning is what separates real striving from, a casual daydream. And there's a story that proves this better than any definition.
Edwin C. Barnes.
Edwin C. Barnes. He wanted to partner with Thomas Edison. And get this, not work for him.
Right. He wanted to go into business with him.
A huge distinction. And he proved his commitment physically. He just shows up at the lab, looking, and the sources say this, like an ordinary tramp.
He'd stowed away, right, traveled by blind baggage because he didn't even have the train fare.
Not a penny for it.
Yeah.
And this is the difference, between a wish and a definite desire. Edison, who'd met thousands of people, he saw it immediately. He saw a man who was staking his entire future on a single turn of the wheel.
So Edison saw that intensity before Barnes had even done anything.
He saw the potential in the desire itself. And years later, that desire became reality. That drive is the engine. But an engine needs a plan.
Which brings us to the Carnegie formula. This is the secret we mentioned, organized from the most successful men of the era. The proof of concept here is Charles M. Schwab.
Oh, absolutely. Schwab put this secret philosophy to work. And, he orchestrated the creation of the United States Steel Corporation. The source says his single application of this secret was worth,
I saw the number. It's roughly $600 million.
at the time, which is just an astronomical sum.
$600 million. For an idea, you'd assume it was some complex financial trick, but what was the actual idea he brought to J.P. Morgan back in 1900?
It was so simple and so revolutionary. He just flipped the entire business model. Others were trying to build monopolies to raise prices,
Right.
to control the market.
Standard practice, yeah.
Schwab shows up with this full-fledged, clear-cut program and argues that the real path to success was to expand the market by drastically cheapening the cost of steel.
So go for volume, not high margins.
Exactly. Focus on efficiency, mass production, and capture world trade. The idea was so compelling, it apparently swept Morgan off his feet right there at dinner.
Okay, so that's the proof it works on a massive scale. For you, the listener, how does this get boiled down into something practical?
It's condensed into the 6 steps. This is the actual blueprint for turning desire into money.
Step 1.
Fix the exact amount of money you desire. Not a lot of money, a specific number, down to the dollar.
And then step 2 is determining what you're going to give in return for that money.
Correct. Nothing is for nothing. You have to define the value you will provide.
The timeline is critical too, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's step 3. Establish a definite date for when you'll have it. And 4, create a definite plan, and this is key, start acting on it immediately.
Whether you feel ready or not.
Whether you feel ready or not, action is critical.
And the last 2 steps are where the mental side really comes in.
It's where you charge the plan with emotion. Step 5 is to write it all down, the amount, the date, the plan, in a clear statement. And step 6, this is the psychological accelerator.
You read it aloud twice a day, morning and night.
And as you read it, you have to see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of it. If you can't imagine it vividly, it's just words on paper.
So we've got the 6 steps, the blueprint, but they need fuel to work. How do you actually charge these thoughts with the right emotion? Plain words don't really work on the subconscious, do they?
They don't. The source is very clear that the key emotional quality you need is faith. And it defines faith as a state of mind that you can induce through self-suggestion or autosuggestion.
So you're basically programming your own subconscious.
You are, because the subconscious mind is the engine room, and it only runs on thoughts mixed with feeling, emotion.
And that's a double-edged sword because it makes no distinction between constructive and destructive emotions.
Zero distinction. Fear, worry, hatred. They are just as powerful as courage and faith. Your subconscious will act on whatever feeling you transmit most strongly.
So you have to be really careful what you're planting in that mental soil.
Exactly. You feed it fear, it grows more fear. You feed it a definite desire mixed with faith. That thought gets magnetized with emotion, and it starts to grow into its physical counterpart.
Okay, so faith is the fuel. Then what's persistence? The lubricant that keeps the machine from seizing up.
That's a great way to put it. The sources show over and over that big success usually comes just one step beyond the point at which defeat had overtaken them.
The story of R.U. Darby. That's a brutal example.
It's tragic. He was mining for gold, hit a rough patch, and just quit.
Huh.
He sold all his machinery for a few $100s.
And the man who bought it?
Hired a mining engineer. The engineer advises him to drill just 3 feet from where Darby had stopped.
That's where the gold was.
A massive vein of it. He lost a fortune because he stopped 3 feet too soon, but he never forgot it.
Right. He used that failure to transform his next career in insurance.
He did. He developed what the philosophy calls stickability. He told himself, I stopped 3 feet from gold, but I will never stop because men say no when I ask them to buy insurance. And he became a top salesman.
Then you have someone like Henry Ford. I mean, his engineers told him for a full year that a complex part was impossible to make.
They insisted it defied known engineering principles.
Mm.
Ford's response was just absolute. He said, I want it, and I'll have it.
That's incredible determination. He just commanded it into existence.
His determination won. That kind of persistence isn't just being stubborn. It's a state of mind built on things like, definiteness of purpose, desire, self-reliance. And the source stresses that it's not random. It's a direct result of habit.
So you build the mental muscle for it over time.
By repeatedly forcing yourself to see things through, yes.
All right, so you've got the desire, you've got the persistence.
Yeah.
But you can't do it all alone. You need leverage. This is where the mastermind concept comes in.
Yes, the mastermind. It's defined as the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between 2 or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose.
The economic side of that seems obvious. A cooperative alliance is behind almost every great fortune.
That part is straightforward. But the psychic aspect is what's really fascinating.
It's more than just a team meeting.
So much more. The idea is that when minds coordinate in harmony, their spiritual energy units form an affinity. It creates more thought energy than a single brain could. It's like a group of batteries creating exponential power, not just additive power.
A kind of mental synergy.
A power far beyond the sum of its parts. Now, that group relies on knowledge. But the source makes a huge distinction between general schooling and specialized knowledge.
Which is key. We tend to think you need a high-level formal education for massive success.
And the source uses Henry Ford, a man with less than a 6th grade education, to just completely dismantle that idea.
How so?
Well, when he was in court, he was scrutinized for his supposed ignorance. And he defended himself perfectly. He said he could summon his entire mastermind group and get any specialized knowledge he needed instantly.
So an educated person isn't someone with a lot of facts in their head.
Not at all. A truly educated person knows where to get knowledge when they need it, and crucially, how to organize that knowledge into a plan of action.
And speaking of plans, you have to be able to market yourself. The source has a specific formula for selling personal services, right?
It does. It's the QQS formula.
QQS.
It stands for quality of service, meaning efficiency, quantity of service, rendering all you're capable of, and spirit of service, having an agreeable, harmonious attitude.
And the source gives a big warning about the old idea of starting at the bottom and working your way up.
It says that can be a fatal flaw.
Yeah.
Starting at the bottom often just kills your ambition. You get stuck in a rut.
So what's the alternative?
Strategic planning. There's this great example of a woman who created a detailed plan book for her son's job application. It outlined exactly what specialized services he could offer the company.
And it worked.
He was hired as a junior executive on the spot at his first interview. He defined his value up front instead of waiting for someone else to recognize it.
Okay, we've built the engine, we have the fuel, we've got the team, but there's always the enemy within, the psychological barriers. The source says indecision is the seedling of fear.
And that fear quickly crystallizes into DIBT. The 3 are so dangerous because they grow quietly. You don't even notice them until they've totally wiped out your initiative.
The source lists 6 basic fears, but one stands out as the most destructive.
The fear of poverty.
Why that one specifically?
Well, the thinking is it goes back to man's inherited tendency to prey on his fellow man economically. Because poverty can bring so much suffering and humiliation, it's the hardest impulse for most people to master.
You can't take the necessary risks to get rich if you're terrified of being poor.
It paralyzes you. And then there's the fear of criticism. That one feels so modern. The source says it just destroys initiative and imagination.
And the symptoms are,
What? Basically, intense conformity. There's this one example about people getting bald because they wear hats that are too tight, just to conform to fashion.
that tight hat analogy is so strange, but so perfect.
It is. And on a more serious level, it's people staying in miserable marriages, just suffering silently to avoid what the neighbors might think.
Just to avoid judgment. Wow.
So this fear makes you compromise your entire self just to avoid being scrutinized.
So what's the cure for all this? For indecision, doubt, fear of poverty, fear of criticism?
The cure is radically simple. It's the habit of prompt and firm decision.
That almost sounds too simple. How does just deciding on something get rid of all that fear and worry?
Because worry is mostly a product of uncertainty, of bouncing between options. Once you make a definite choice and you commit to a line of action, your mind stops spinning. You get your poise back.
You're no longer in limbo.
Exactly. The source gives this incredible example of a man on death row, 2 hours from his execution. He was the calmest person in the room. He'd reached a definite decision to accept his fate, and that final, irreversible decision brought him total mental peace.
So decision isn't just about a business plan. It's about choosing not to be defined by things you can't control.
And certainly choosing not to worry about what other people think.
We've covered a lot of ground here. From that initial spark of desire, through persistence, the mastermind, all while fighting off these internal ghosts.
It really all comes back to a few core ingredients, doesn't it? That burning desire, persistence, and this idea of relentless self-analysis.
And it all rests on recognizing that the most powerful forces are the ones we can't see. Gravity, electricity, and of course, thought.
Which leads to the ultimate truth this source hammers home again and again. Man's only limitation, within reason, lies in his development and use of his imagination.
So remember, the source argues that your brain is both a broadcasting and receiving station for thought. And its signal strength depends entirely on the emotions you mix in.
Right. And if your subconscious mind really makes no distinction between constructive and destructive thoughts, between faith and fear,
Then considering that your mind is a creature of habit,
what destructive thought impulses or negative beliefs are you letting your brain broadcast and receive from the world today?